It was handsome and healthy looking, but it didn't have the distended gut you sometimes see, meaning he probably hadn't had his breakfast yet. That could explain why a fish of that size was interested in my little size 8 streamer, which would normally be too small a fly for a lake trout. Craig told me later that one of these fish could eat a quarter of its body weight at a single sitting, so that if the cove had been full of grayling that morning, it might have weighed more like 22 pounds. On the other hand, if the fish hadn't been so hungry, I probably wouldn't have caught him. Except for that one, we got all our lake trout that day by trolling. This is the preferred method on these big northern lakes, simply because it's so efficient. It's not that you couldn't cast to any of the places you'd troll through. You're usually fishing at a depth of less than 20 feet. But to cover anything close to the same amount of water by casting and retrieving a big fly on a sinking line, you'd have to put in 18-hour days and ice your elbows every night. As usual, there's what we like to think of as a science to it, but the key isn't so much how or what you troll as where. You're looking for submerged points, steep drop-offs and open water rock bars that attract smaller organisms, from midge and caddis larvae to ciscos and sticklebacks to grayling, and the bigger predators that follow them. But of course, you're not looking for them, because your guide knows exactly where they are, as well as which ones are fishier than others, depending on the conditions. He's done this for thousands of hours and motors right to them, even the ones that lie in what appears to be featureless open water. I was using an 8-weight rod and a line with interchangeable sink tips that allow you to vary your depth. I'd pay out almost the entire fly line and take up a short shock loop held as lightly as possible between the reel and the index finger of my rod hand. The idea here is that the fish pulls the loop straight when he hits, giving him time to turn and take the hook in the corner of his jaw. A fish that hits while you're trolling can feel like it's hooked itself, but there's a lot of stretch in all that line, so you want to reef hard on the set to make sure. Of course, every fish you hook takes you into the backing, but when you have only 4 turns of line left on your arbor, that's not always as impressive as it sounds. I did well with simple 3 or 4 inch long rabbit fur streamers tied on 3/0 salmon hooks or as tube flies. Good colors were pink and white, blue and white, and all white with a flash of red. Some lake trout fishermen apply the big fish, big fly theory and use tandem hook trolling streamers that can be a foot long. These are fine for dragging behind a boat where they feel like you've hooked a small trout, but they're ungainly for any other use, although in a pinch they are castable in a clunky, duck on the forward cast kind of way. There are those of us who love this kind of esoteric tackle fiddling for the illusion of mastery it gives us. We can go on about it long enough to bore even another fisherman, but the truth is, trolling isn't rocket science. Some fly fishers say they don't care for it for just that reason, because it seems too haphazard and, God forbid, unskilled. Maybe it is, but only in the way of any other style of fly fishing designed to systematically cover fishy-looking water. I don't really see a tactical difference between trolling for lake trout and methodically swinging a wet fly down a likely-looking pool that may or may not hold an Atlantic salmon. Both have the same hypnotic quality that allows your mind to wander, only to be periodically wrenched back to the present in no uncertain terms. If I were one to offer advice on trolling to other fly fishers, I'd say the same thing their mothers said about spinach. At least try it before you say you don't like it. For that matter, I've met any number of fly fishermen who can't get excited about catching lake trout, although it isn't clear why. I've heard it said that they don't fight well, but in my experience, at much past 8 or 10 pounds, they're a real handful on a fly rod, and they go way past that. Lake trout are the largest of the char, the same family that includes the beloved brook trout. They readily take flies, and under the right conditions, they can grow as big as a tarpon. A constant reminder of that at Great Bear Lake is that it's